Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar for the new Cambridge History and Geography Transformed series. My name is Caroline Poole and I'm the New South Wales State Sales Manager based here in Sydney. Before we get started, in the spirit of reconciliation, Cambridge University Press and Assessment acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to the elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Today's webinar will be packed full of great information for you all to help in preparation for the new courses across the subject areas. Firstly, you will hear from Brent Ramsey, our Publishing Director, who will introduce the changes and the features across the series. Following Brent, our literacy expert Andrew Finlay has a short video talking about the writing focus that we have included in the Transformed titles. Kendra Brusica will then present on History Transformed, followed by Matt Carroll with Geography Transformed. There will be a short video demonstrating the interactive platform, followed by a Q&A with the authors and Brent. I will then share some details of the availability and all of the sales team details. So please feel free to submit any questions during the webinar and we will try to get to all of them. But if we don't, we will definitely reach out after today's session. So with that, I will now hand over to Brent to get started. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm joining you from today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation here in Melbourne, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I also extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us today. For those I haven't met, I'm Brent Ramsey, the Publishing Director at Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And I'm really excited to be here today launching the new Transform series for New South Wales Stages 4 and 5 syllabuses. It's been a true team effort and I'm proud to be sharing it on behalf of the Cambridge team and the outstanding educators who brought these resources to life. Brand new resources for the history, geography and commerce classrooms. While today's session will focus specifically on history and geography, we're also excited to be launching a brand new commerce resource, Commerce Transformed. And we'll be having a dedicated commerce webinar, next slide please, taking place next week. So please be sure to register to hear more about that commerce resource. Next slide please. Over the past several years, Cambridge University Press and Assessment has undertaken extensive research and engaged with hundreds of conversations with HSIE teachers right across New South Wales. Our aim was to deeply understand the realities of today's classroom, the challenges teachers are navigating, the changing literacy demands of the syllabus, and to understand what teachers genuinely need from resources in order to be able to improve teaching and learning outcomes. These conversations have shaped every aspect of this new series, and what emerged is a new generation of HSIE resources that are purpose-built for the intent and demands of the new syllabus. The heart of the series is a very clear philosophy. Transform your HSIE classroom with the right balance of knowledge, knowledge-rich content and accessible skills development. Across history, geography, commerce, the series has been designed around these 4 pillars. First, knowledge-rich content. The series provides engaging, accessible and syllabus-aligned content designed to build deep understanding while remaining highly teachable in real classrooms. Second, embedded skills development. The resources are carefully structured to support both out-of-field teachers seeking confidence and guidance and experienced teachers looking for a comprehensive all-in-one resource. The third pillar, explicit writing focus. One of the defining features of the new series is the integration of explicit activities focused on developing students' lifelong written communication skills. And finally, innovative digital features. Our series has been built on Cambridge's trusted digital platform and powerful learning management system, already so familiar with New South Wales schools, teachers and students that use our mathematics and science resources. You see these come to life in different ways across each subject. Next slide, please. In history, Every lesson embeds opportunities for students to apply key concepts and skills through source analysis and inquiry. Next slide, please. In geography, learning is anchored in rich case studies supported by a clear sequenced geographical skills continuum. Next slide, please. And in commerce, explicit teaching is combined with structured, project-based learning, giving teachers the tools for both clarity and an authentic, future-focused inquiry. Next slide, please. Importantly, this is much more than just a textbook series. The Transformed suite has been designed to support every aspect of planning, teaching, and implementation through a high-quality student print book, engaging digital interactive textbook, and a comprehensive online teaching resource. A resource that provides everything teachers need to support implementation of the new syllabus, including comprehensive teacher programs, assessment support, teaching materials, differentiation tools, and classroom-ready resources designed to save teachers time while improving learning outcomes. Next slide, please. One of the most significant shifts in the new syllabus and one of the defining features of our series is the emphasis on explicit writing instruction. At Cambridge, we strongly believe in the principle that sits at the heart of that recommendation. Creating written text supports learning. Writing helps students make their thinking explicit. It supports the integration of ideas, encourages reflection, deepens engagement with content, and helps students communicate understanding with increasing clarity and precision. Importantly, every discipline has its own unique writing demands. The combination of explicit teaching, embedded literacy support, and accessible skills development is what makes our Transform series truly different. And we're absolutely thrilled to be joined by our authors today to showcase these resources. So let's get started. Next slide, please. Andrew Finlay is Deputy Principal at a Western Sydney public high school and a leading voice in history education. An experienced HSC marker and former member of NESA's Quality Teacher Council, he's led the development of our explicit, holistic writing framework across history, geography, and commerce. As our Cambridge literacy consultant, Andrew will unpack both the thinking behind the approach and what it looks like in practice in classrooms. And with that, I'll now hand over to Andrew.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Finlay and I'm here to discuss the explicit teaching of writing through high-impact writing progressions. I'm really excited to introduce you to this explicit and holistic writing program embedded across the new Cambridge History, Geography and Commerce Transform series. I thought I'd start by providing you with some insight into the guiding principles that underpin this explicit writing program. The ability to write effectively is one of the most important skills students develop during their schooling. Writing is fundamental to success because it's the primary way students engage with, process, and communicate their learning. Every day, students use writing to interact with curriculum content through notes, classroom activities, projects, and assessment tasks. Writing helps students organize their thinking, deepen their understanding, and make meaning from what they learn. As a result, a student's ability to write effectively has a significant impact on their capacity to show what they know and achieve success. Writing matters because it's the primary way students demonstrate learning. Across most subjects and assessment tasks, students are required to communicate their knowledge, understanding, and skills through written expression. When students struggle with writing, they often struggle to show what they know. Conversely, strong writing skills help students organize their thinking, communicate their understanding, and perform successfully in assessments. This raises a really important question for educators. If writing is the primary means through which students demonstrate learning, are we giving enough attention to explicitly teaching it? In HSIE, writing is not an additional skill. It is a fundamental component of student success. When writing strategies are taught alongside content, students can store both in long-term memory, freeing their working memory for deeper thinking and more effective writing. This is the strength of the Cambridge Transform series. The Cambridge Transform series provides a practical solution by embedding explicit writing instruction within content. It offers a clear and consistent framework that reduces cognitive load, supports teacher expertise, and helps students become confident, capable writers. The challenge for us as educators is clear. Student writing performance is declining. Analysis by the Australian Education Research Organisation of more than 10 million NAPLAN writing results found that many students perform below age-appropriate expectations, with achievement declining significantly during stages 4 and 5. Many students understand the content, but really struggle to express their thinking clearly and effectively. The decline in student writing performance is particularly evident in persuasive writing. Since 2011, NAPLAN persuasive writing scores have fallen, with the largest declines occurring in Years 7 and 9. Key skills such as structure, argument development, and language control have also weakened. This is especially concerning for HSIE educators because persuasive writing underpins success across our subjects. The decline in persuasive writing is also evident among high-achieving students. Between 2011 and 2018, the proportion of Year 7 and 9 students attaining the highest NAPLAN writing scores fell from 21% to just 9%. A particular concern is sentence structure. To achieve the highest scores, students must vary sentence types and structures to communicate ideas with precision and sophistication. Declining performance in this area suggests many students lack the sentence-level control needed to construct effective paragraphs, sustained arguments, and high-quality extended responses. Declining student writing performance is mirrored by declining teacher confidence in teaching writing. The Australian Writing Survey found that time devoted to explicit writing instruction has decreased across stages 4 to 6, while almost half of teachers reported feeling underprepared to teach writing, including persuasive writing. This matters because teacher confidence directly influences student outcomes. Teachers who feel less prepared are less likely to teach writing explicitly, limiting students' opportunities to develop essential writing skills. The Cambridge Writing Program addresses this challenge by providing a clear method, common language, and consistent framework for writing instruction. Through high-impact writing activities embedded in the Transformed series, it builds teacher confidence and supports the expertise needed to improve student outcomes across the school. For those interested in exploring this issue further, I recommend 2 influential reviews commissioned by NESA in 2018. These reviews were significant because they helped shape educational reform in New South Wales, and their findings informed the 2024 HSIE syllabuses, including the stronger emphasis on explicit teaching, literacy development, knowledge acquisition, and disciplinary thinking. Together, they provide valuable context for understanding why explicit writing instruction has become a central focus of contemporary curriculum design and student improvement. The reviews delivered a clear message. Explicit writing instruction must be central to teaching and learning. Writing is not only a way for students to demonstrate understanding, it is a critical tool for thinking, learning, and communicating knowledge. In response, curriculum reforms strengthen the focus on writing across syllabus documents, recognizing that students need systematic instruction to communicate effectively. The reforms also acknowledge that writing skills do not develop by chance. Students must be explicitly taught how to use vocabulary effectively, construct clear sentences, and organize ideas into coherent arguments. A key message of the 2024 HSIE syllabuses is that writing is not just a way of assessing learning, it is a way of creating learning. Rather than being simply the end product of learning, writing helps students organize ideas, connect knowledge, and communicate meaning with precision. It promotes deeper thinking, active engagement, and reflection on evidence, perspectives, and concepts. The implication for teachers is clear. Writing should not be reserved for assessment tasks only. It must be embedded throughout the teaching and learning cycle as an explicit practice that helps students think more deeply, learn more effectively, and communicate more successfully. The new HSIE syllabuses place clear expectations on teachers to explicitly teach writing. Students are expected to learn how to create disciplinary text through modeling, scaffolding, practice, and feedback, with literacy embedded within content teaching. These expectations reflect strong research evidence that writing improves when taught explicitly and within authentic subject contexts. The Cambridge Transformed series supports teachers in meeting these requirements by embedding writing instruction within content learning, Through the high impact writing framework, it provides models, scaffolds, and a common language for teaching writing, making it easier to meet syllabus expectations while improving student outcomes. The high impact writing activities embedded throughout the Transformed series are grounded in the explicit teaching model. They provide clear explanations, modeling and scaffolding to show students exactly what success looks like and how to develop their writing skills and improve their written expression. The strength of the Cambridge Writing Program lies in its coherent and practical approach to writing instruction. Rather than providing isolated resources, it brings together how-to guides, grammar fundamental guides, verb guides, high-impact writing progressions, and embedded high-impact writing activities to support explicit writing instruction. Together, these resources provide teachers with the tools, models, and scaffolds needed to teach writing with confidence. They establish a common language around writing, supporting a consistent whole school approach and help students develop the sentence and paragraph level skills essential for writing success. More than a collection of activities, Cambridge offers a comprehensive writing program. Schools receive resources, exemplars, instructional supports, and professional guidance that help build teacher expertise, create consistency across faculties, and embed a sustainable culture of explicit writing instruction. A key strength of the Cambridge Writing Program is its recognition that writing develops progressively. Rather than expecting students to master complex disciplinary writing immediately, the program systematically builds skills from stage 4 through to stage 6. In stage 4, students develop foundational skills such as responding to question words, using conjunctions, constructing sentences and topic sentences, and taking effective notes. In stage 5, they build greater sophistication by strengthening sentence structure, using transitional phrases, and integrating evidence to develop arguments. By stage 6, students learn to communicate with greater precision and analytical depth through an advanced language features, complex sentence structures, and disciplinary writing skills such as source analysis, perspective, and evaluation. Each stage builds on the last, providing a clear pathway from foundational writing skills to the sophisticated analytical writing skills required for senior secondary success. This highly structured approach supports both teachers and students in developing confident, capable writers. I would now like to showcase a couple of our high-impact writing strategies, specifically the explicit teaching of subordinating conjunctions. When we teach subordinating conjunctions, we focus on the function of the subordinating conjunction. So we have activities related to subordinating conjunctions that demonstrate contrast, reasoning, and relative time. We want students to develop their writing toolbox by understanding the function of different elements of grammar. Here we have a piece of quality, rich text taken from our Stage 4 History Transformed series. This one is on the Frontier Wars causes and locations. Once students have read the related text, we provide them with 3 sentence stems, each with a subordinating conjunction that facilitates the provision of a reason why, because, since, and as. Students complete the sentences based off the text. Example responses are provided in green. Because subordinating conjunctions can also go at the start of a sentence, we then ask students to rearrange the order of the clauses and make appropriate changes to the punctuation. The aim here is for students to play with language and with syntax to create different sentences, all while continuing to learn the content. In this Stage 4 geography example, we are focused on subordinating conjunctions with a function of providing for a contrast. This is our piece of related rich text from the new Geography Transformed series. For contrasting subordinating conjunctions, we focus on although, while, and though. On this occasion, we have started with the subordinating conjunctions at the start of each sentence. Before asking students to rearrange the order of the clauses to place the subordinating conjunction in the middle, as you can see here on the screen. The great thing about these activities is that they are adaptable and applicable to any piece of quality text. So essentially, teachers are getting a holistic writing program they can replicate over and over again in their classrooms. The activities and their variations stay the same. The only thing that changes is the text the activity is based off.
Hi, I'm Kendra Brisker, one of the contributing authors for History Transformed Stages 4 and 5, and I'm here today to talk to you about some of the unique features of these books. When we're thinking about the changes to the New South Wales Reformed Syllabus, there's been a lot of changes to structure, there's more studies available, there's a new core study with specific outcome focusing on Aboriginal people's experiences of colonization. We have our site studies and case studies, and then the adjustments to concepts and skills. While not all of this is new to the study of history, it's a really busy time in HSIE faculties right now. And so getting a good resource to support our teachers is one of the best things that we can do as we're planning for implementation. So looking at the reform syllabus and some of the changes to structure, what we see is that the overviews have been replaced with historical context studies, and that we have fewer options from the choices. So we have 2 to 3 in stage 4. Previously we had 5, and 1 to 2 in stage 5. So there is a little bit more structure. When we're looking at the History Transformed stages 4 and 5 textbooks, these series cover all of the historical context studies, all of the depth studies, and all of the depth studies options. While some of these depth studies are online only, the material is still there. And what a lot of teachers are looking for right now, for those of us in the chat rooms, are topics that have already been previously developed. Some schools are implementing areas of study without resources, but History Transformed gives all of these to you. So if we take a look first at stage 4, we can see that there are 3 core historical context studies, there's 1 core depth study, and all 16 depth study options. This is also mirrored in the stage 5 text. So 2 core historical context studies, 3 core depth studies, and the 10 depth study options, all available for your staff. So when we're looking at the reformed syllabus, the new core study has some specific outcomes, and this is the Aboriginal people's experience of colonization. For some schools, this can be a tricky area to teach because we want to do it authentically, and we want to give our students really meaningful and deep understanding to this part of the syllabus. So with this in mind, History Transformed offers us authentic coverage of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's history, co-authored by Palawa author Aria Ritz. Care has been taken to find sources that highlight authentic voices, and appropriate cultural permissions have been obtained for all of the sources used. So the depth study authors, Aria Ritz and Julie Bover, have written with the cultural safety of all students in mind. There are also site studies and case studies. So 1 case study and one site study must be studied in each stage for 5 hours each. You can see on the screen right now that these are easy to find. We can interact with them, and the depth studies core and option contain a site study that can be used for the syllabus requirement or as additional content. So a variety of case studies are also provided in the online teaching suite resource, giving teachers flexibility. So whether or not our schools have the opportunity to go on excursions that give us access to some of these site studies, or we're looking at them in the classroom, our students are still given rich and meaningful content. There's also some slight adjustments to concepts and skills. While concepts and skills are definitely not new to the study of history, they are now had a little bit of restructuring in the syllabus. And so, as we can see here, we wanted to make sure that we were aligning these adjustments to the concepts and skills to the activities that your students are doing throughout the textbook. So all concepts and skills are covered and they're aligned with the work. So we can see through the 2 examples here. The first one is an activity from the Aztecs chapter, where the historical concepts listed is significance, and the historical skill is analysis and use of sources. The purple one below comes from stage 5. The historical concepts are continuity and change and significant, and the historical skills are analysis, use of sources, perspectives and interpretations, and communication. While some schools have teachers teaching only in one area, in other schools we have teachers who are new to the profession, who are teaching out of area, or who might be less familiar with some of the topics that you've chosen as you implement the new syllabus. By making sure that we're aligning the content with concepts and skills, we can give our teachers the tools they need to unpack these with the class. This might be independent research or leading discussion, but we see really explicit links between the syllabus and the content that we have covered. We also have historical inquiry outcomes. So every chapter contains a historical inquiry, and the inquiry focuses on a particular historical concept. So we have scaffolding for how to approach a historical inquiry is included at the start of the book and as a downloadable document. But a big focus of these new History Transformed textbooks is knowledge-rich and accessible content. So we have consistently structured chapters framed by key inquiry questions. The content is divided into lessons with learning intentions, success criteria, and a starter activity. And the chapter presents syllabus dot points in a logical order for teachers to cover the material. So by having the syllabus points presented in logical order, this supports lesson planning. And some of the digital features are going to support lesson planning as well. But again, for those teachers who might be new or teaching across areas, this allows them to really focus on how they're going to deliver the content. So we set the scene. Each chapter starts with a timeline and visible thinking activity. In history, it's really important for our students in stage 4 and 5 to understand the scope of time that we're going to be dealing with and what the beginning and end of this timeline looks like. These chapters really allow us to see that, and again, gives them a thinking activity to get them started and discussing and engaging with the content. So the lessons are typically 4 to 5 pages each, ensuring that coverage is not superficial, but you can teach it as a whole or can choose bits and pieces out of it to support your resources that you've developed at school. But what we can see on the screen right now is that all of them are accompanied by really clear learning intentions and success criteria. So this is integrating best practice into the textbook that we're going to use so that as we're teaching it, we can check in with our students to see if they're meeting those success criteria. So can they identify Hatshepsut's achievements? Can they summarize what some historians have said about Hatshepsut? After the learning intentions and success criteria, we have lesson starter activities. So these spark student interest with relevant content and hands-on activities. It might be a think, pair, share, or a look, see, wonder, but the language and layout is made to be easy to read and gives opportunities for students to develop and apply key historical concepts and skills right from the beginning of the topic. As we're moving through the chapter, the lessons include a number of activities that include source analysis. There is scaffolding, end of the lesson reviews, and lots of opportunities for differentiation. As well, the online resources provide auto-marked quizzes. There are knowledge and understanding questions and thinking and research questions that help our students expand their thinking and research skills outside of the content of the book. What's very important for us historians, though, is visual and written sources. And the authors have found numerous interesting written and visual sources that are used really meaningfully in the chapters to help engage our learners. But this also includes video sources. And this ensures that we have differentiation in the presentation of sources for some of our more auditory learners, but also the fact that some of history is more modern. And this ensures that students are exploring the content in a really deep and meaningful way. So looking at the source analysis activities, as we're moving from stages 4 to 5, we're going to see the questions increasing in difficulty, and some source analysis will involve comparison of sources to help develop student skills, and again, building that critical thinking as they're moving through the stages. So we can see an example of that here, where our stage 4 is driven by words like describe, explain, and our stage 5, we see an increase in the skills with account for and evaluate. So every lesson finishes with a review. We have a digital quiz for simple recall and comprehension. We have knowledge and understanding questions that increase in difficulty, but are based on the content in the text. So students can use the text to complete these. And when we want to expand that critical thinking, we're going to go to thinking and researching. And then the big focus is skill development, which you've had a little bit of a discussion about already, but the end of the chapter reviews cover the entire topic. We have summary tasks and visible thinking routines. We have questions and activities, including scorcher quizzes, quick questions, group work activities, but the big thing is the writing focus. And as Andrew already mentioned, this is really important as we're working on those critical thinking skills, and is such a necessary part of the development of our young historians, and it also supports our teachers.
Thanks very much, Kendra, for taking the time to do a deep dive into the History Transformed series. Kendra Brusica is one of our exceptional history authors who's currently juggling classroom teaching as well. She's a director of teaching and learning and passionate history educator, and Kendra's been instrumental in developing these resources that blend knowledge-rich content, explicit skills, and engaging inquiry to support the new syllabus. So thanks for taking us through that, Kendra. We'll now turn to geography, where the same balance of knowledge, skills, and real-world relevance is brought to life. It's my pleasure to introduce Matt Carroll, co-lead author and head of HSIE at Janelli High School. With over 15 years experience, HSC marking expertise, and a strong track record in curriculum and assessment design, Matt brings deep insight into geography teaching. Matt will take us through the Geography Transformed resource and what they look like in practice. Over to you, Matt.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. My name's Matt Carroll. I'm one of the co-lead authors of Geography Transformed. I'm the head of HSIE at Janelli High School in the south of Sydney, and I've been working closely with Rex Cook, who's the other co-lead author, and he's the head of geography at St. Ignatius Riverview. So I thought I'd start with a very quick revisit and snapshot of the main changes that have occurred with the new geography curriculum for stage 4 and 5 being rolled out, as we all know, in 2027. So the big ones for me, and I strongly believe that Geography Transformed has adapted and placed a lot of emphasis on, is that focus on writing and literacy, the alignments to the new HSE geography course, which was assessed for the first time in 2025, and that emphasis on case studies, and the really important skill in geography, which is applying both of our knowledge and skills. So these are the core guiding questions which underpin any quality planning or programming for any new syllabus. But these have certainly been the foundation for Geography Transformed. How does the new curriculum fit into the geography continuum, into stage 6? So as we know, to achieve the best results for our geography students, we obviously have to look at the end product, which is this new and improved HSE geography exam, and designing our stage 4 and 5 programs to build on the essential core geographical content and skills. So the new HSE exam has that real strong emphasis on student case studies. We've seen the emergence of new questions like the structured response and also the cross-topic question in the short answer section. There has been a small decrease from 20 multiple choice questions down to 15. I think anyone that's been involved in geography education will understand the challenge of balancing having really good case studies with how do I teach skills and concepts and literacy. And I think we've done that really well with the new product, and obviously assisting teachers that are teaching geography out of area or out of field. So as I go through these 10 factors, I really want you to think about two things. What would make this easier for me to teach, and what would make this easier for my students to access, to understand, and also enjoy. So every lesson is built around a purposeful inquiry question or overarching focus, so students understand what they're investigating and why it matters. So rather than jumping around between disconnected activities or syllabus dot points, the lesson sequence that we've designed, it follows a clear direction. So students are guided from curiosity with the GeoSpark to explicit content, to skills, case studies, and also literacy and assessment style application at the end. So this helps maintain engagement while also supporting that logical progression of learning. For students, they know where the topic's going, why it matters, and how each lesson and activity builds their understanding. The resource has been designed with real classroom timeframes in mind. So each unit is carefully structured around a manageable sequence of lessons with approximately 30 lessons maximum per unit. And that aligns to what most of us probably have within our schools, which is around 5 to 6 periods allocated towards HSIE or geography per fortnight. And this allows teachers to cover the required content without feeling rushed or overwhelmed. The big thing for me is that we don't shy away from content, and having each lesson span across 3 to 4 pages with really purposeful content, activities, skills, and also questions. It gives teachers enough depth to support explicit teaching while still keeping the lesson achievable within that normal school timetable. You have access to the scope and sequence documents for stage 4 and stage 5, which with each focus area connected to the syllabus outcomes. We also have the end of unit assessments as well, with the weighting and reporting outcomes there. So here you can see a more detailed scope and sequence on the topic landscapes and landforms, which was written by Rex Cook. We've mapped out every single lesson across the entire unit with a designated case study section here on the Blue Mountains. We've also integrated skills in a skills blitz or a skills block, and then the case study at the end there on the geomorphic hazard. The Geo Spark, which is the very first lesson, really contemporary case studies and challenging inquiry questions to immediately engage students in the topic. So rather than beginning with that sort of standard boring definition lesson on, for example, what is a biome, each unit begins with a real world problem that students can question, investigate, and connect to their own lives. So for the Sustainable Biomes and Agriculture unit, we're looking at the GeoSpark here on what is the Svalbard Sea Vault, or within the unit on interconnections and trade, we're looking at the Rana Plaza factory collapse. So what's the hidden cost of your clothes? Looking for a story as a hook to get students thinking and talking and loving geography. So each lesson opens with a clear learning intention, student-friendly success criteria, and a really short lesson starter or starter activity, or do now. Some of you might be familiar with that language. So it's all about low stakes retrieval or some sort of stimulus activity to engage students immediately. I know a lot of schools sort of mandate their staff to have learning intentions, success criteria, and also a do now or a lesson starter. The textbook covers all of that for you, and there's a really rich range of lesson starter activities. Each lesson provides, as I've spoken to briefly previously, a substantial 3 to 4 page sequence of content, stimulus material, case studies, and activities, and it allows students to build genuine depth of knowledge and understanding. So rather than skimming over key terms or rushing through dot points, students are guided through carefully developed explanations, examples, and geographical thinking tasks that directly link to syllabus outcomes. Rather than treating case studies as optional examples, this textbook embeds them as the foundation for deep learning. So carefully selected case studies allow students to explore multiple syllabus dot points through one meaningful real-world example, helping them develop stronger understanding, stronger recall, and stronger written responses. As a HSC teacher and a HSC marker, this approach I believe better prepares students for stage 6 geography, where students are expected to use detailed place-based examples, evidence, and case studies to explain complex processes and issues. So this textbook includes a clear geographical skills continuum supported by regular skills blitz activities. These short, purposeful skill blocks are embedded throughout each topic, so students can practice the relevant skills that are relevant to that particular topic, whilst also learning content. We've used things like QR codes, videos, and stimulus material and skill-based questions to support student understanding and to make the resource accessible for all teachers, including those that may be teaching geography out of field. And you can see that clearly embedded in our scope and sequence documents, where it's best to sort of pause with content and do around 2 weeks or a fortnight of skills block. So it helps kind of break up that content. And like I said, the skills are meaningfully integrated, the skills that are relevant to that particular topic. Here is a standard skills lesson. These lessons have clear learning intentions, success criteria. There's a really useful sort of explanation of the skill. And there's also the QR code videos to access for the skills explainers and the how-to guides from Sammy and Alan. Each skills chapter also includes some checking your understanding questions, developing your understanding, extending your understanding, and then some creative tasks as well. So as we've just seen from Andrew's presentation, literacy skills development is explicitly embedded throughout each chapter. Students are supported through comprehension questions, geographical concept questions, thinking and working geographically activities, and then we have a real strong emphasis on paragraph writing, structured response questions, backward mapped from year 12, and also extended response tasks. There are model and annotated answers as well to help both teachers and students understand what good quality writing actually looks like in geography. So those end of chapter writing tasks prepare students for stage 6 expectations and the new HSE style exam format. You can see here again, both structured response questions with marking criteria and sample answers and some extended response question there as well. So the textbook supports assessment through the learning process, not just at the end of the unit. Each chapter includes regular formative check-ins, chapter summaries, revision activities that help students consolidate key knowledge, practice their geographical skills, and identify gaps in their understanding. So at the end of each unit, some summative assessment opportunities allow students to apply their learning through structured responses, extended writing, stimulus analysis, and case study questions. So this gives teachers ready-made assessment options while helping students build confidence with the kinds of tasks that they will encounter in stage 6. Lastly, as HSE geography teachers, certainly myself and Rex, we know that students need strong foundations long before that they enter stage 6. So this textbook deliberately builds those foundations throughout stage 4 and 5 by integrating structured responses, extended writing, skills, case studies, concepts, and evidence-based thinking. So rather than waiting until senior years to introduce these demands, students are gradually exposed to the types of thinking, writing, and skills that they need for success in stage 6 geography. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thanks.
Thanks very much to Matt, Kendra, and Andrew for your insightful presentations there. I am now going to give you a quick overview of some of the digital features that you can expect with the new Transformed series, both for students and for teachers. So when using the interactive platform, what you'll find first of all is all the content from the textbook is sitting here within the platform. Some extra features that students and teachers have access to are the quizzes. So these are multiple choice, short answer, auto-marked questions that students can visit anytime they like independently, or you can actually assign this as a teacher specifically. When there is a question that requires an extended response, students can also type in their answers here, submit that through to their teacher for you then to give them feedback. If you want the suggested responses on, you can, but should you want them off, you can definitely turn them off as well. The resources tab here will just give you a quick link through to all the downloadable material, as well as over here on the right-hand side, you can grab anything from there as well. If we have a look at the chapter review, we have a few extra features here as well. So your summary notes, your review questions will all sit here for students to access. All your writing focus material sits here. So this is how it is in the print book here. But if we go over here, we can see all the downloadable material, including the writing focus workbook, suggested responses, etc. So the Scorcher is a fun little tool for the students to use. Again, you can assign this to them if you want specifically, but this is basically where it's 10 quick questions. There is a timer, there is a leaderboard, and students are competing to be on that leaderboard. So they can go through and answer those questions, and you will see the leaderboard generating here. When there are videos, that are required for different parts of each textbook, you will actually find them embedded within the content. So here's an example here. Again, situated throughout the content, students can access these and you can also assign them. A popular tool on here is the Task Manager. So this is basically where you can set up different tasks for your students in a particular order that you would like them to visit each task. So if we say the first task will be the section, so this is the content of the textbook, we can then put in a worksheet from wherever we choose within the text. So we'll say that one. And then if you put anything in here that is auto-marked, so a quiz or a scorcher or something like that, what it will do is give you the option to set a benchmark. So let's set that, say, at 65%, and then any student who gets over 65%, you can then assign them some different work, a bit more challenging perhaps. You could change sort of the content there, add that in, and then for anyone who gets under that benchmark, you could essentially assign them some work that is a bit more revision based. So we'll put, say, a video in there. So you can assign that out to your students and they will complete that in the order you've set it. We have extra assessment questions. All the teacher resources sit here as well, all your planning documents, programs, PowerPoints for everything. And then we are happy to help you set up your classes. So this is where your students will sit within each class and you can assign some work to them and generate reports. So I hope that is helpful for you, but we are happy to come out and give you a bit more of an in-depth demo at another time. Thank you.
Thanks again to the authors for taking a deep dive into our new transformed resources. And thanks for everyone for sending through your questions while the presentation's been running. I would like to start by just confirming the recording and the slides will be made available to all attendees after the session. And any questions that we don't get to, we'll make sure that we respond when we're sending out those slides. But we have had a few questions come through. And Matt, I might like to start with you. We've got some geography questions. The first one is, which topics do you think have changed the most in the new geography syllabus?
Yep. Thanks, Brent. Look, for me, just with conversations with teachers, certainly here at my school and through the GTA and on social media, the topic causing most concern for several years up until this point has been the sustainable biomes topic. So for me, when looking at the syllabus, this is probably the biggest shift in the new syllabus, which is really exciting. The unit has a slight name change and it's now called Biomes and Sustainable Agriculture. So the old topic, it really focused on biomes, food production, food security. So ensuring students understood the connection between biomes and food, I think many found quite difficult. So especially the outer field teachers. So the new topic, biomes and sustainable agriculture, has a much stronger focus, in my opinion, on agriculture, on sustainability, on food systems, environmental impacts, the pressures from production, and also on management. So it feels, in my opinion, less like a biomes topic and more like a contemporary unit about food security, about sustainable agriculture and innovation. So a lot more exciting, in my opinion. So for many teachers, this is probably going to be the topic that needs the most reworking in terms of our programming, our case studies, and our assessment tasks. So just thinking about the Stage 5 textbook that we've created, we've certainly tried to support this shift with really engaging and contemporary lessons. I spoke previously about the starter activity, the GeoSpark on the Svalbard Seed Vault, for example. You'll see glimpses of things like vertical farming, sustainable agriculture, innovation. So the aim is to make that topic in particular more relevant for students, a bit more fresh, and obviously easier to teach. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Matt. Actually, you mentioned assessment during that, and there's another question here just about assessment. How have we built in formative assessment into the resource?
Yeah, great. Another really good question. I think everyone that's spoken today has spoken a lot about assessment and certainly formative assessment. So it's something that we've really prioritized in Geography Transformed. So as Kendra mentioned earlier, all of the lessons start with the learning intentions and success criteria. So allowing us to check in with our students. Each lesson also has that low stakes do now or lesson starter, and this gives teachers a really quick way to check what the students already know about that particular topic or lesson, maybe something they can recall or remember from a previous lesson, or where there might be gaps. So thinking about within each lesson, there's plenty of opportunity for questions that teachers can use flexibly as class discussion, written responses, exit tickets, quick checks for understanding, things like that. Every lesson, as all of our speakers have spoken to today, has an attached quiz. We've got multiple choice questions, true, false questions, key term matching activities. These are things that I'm really excited about. At my school, we have ongoing assessment. So we assess students all the time, and there's bits and pieces that, we can take and use as part of that. So there's a lot of great activities that are designed to be quick, to be accessible and useful for checking student understanding as they move through each unit of work. As we've mentioned as well, at the end of each chapter, there's a really strong review questions, and there's a really strong focus on writing, which is super important to consolidate and build those skills moving into stage 6. There's also, we've got downloadable work booklets, student worksheets, model answers. So it basically means, like, from a teacher's point of view, they're already ready-made resources that we can use to check student understanding, to give feedback, and then to build student confidence as they move through the topics. So yeah, all these activities help students build the knowledge, the geo vocab, which is really important, and the writing skills they need, as I said, as they transition into stage 6. I hope that helps.
Perfect. Yeah, great. Thanks, Matt. We might share the love a bit now. We might jump across to Kendra and got some history questions. First one is, which topics will you be teaching at your school from the new syllabus across stages 4 and 5, and why?
So within my context, we actually teach history staged, which to some extent limits what we can teach and how many topics we can teach. So we've had a couple of changes. In stage 4, our historical context, we're starting with the ancient past, and then we've moved to teaching ancient Greece to better align our stage 4 studies to our stage 6. So seeing some of that continuity, because stage 5 drops off from the ancient studies. Then we're moving into the medieval world, and then we've actually placed our mandatory Asian topic into stage 4. And so this gives our teachers, because again, in my context, we have a lot of teachers out of area. We teach across many faculties. Some people will teach across 3 faculties. And so this gives continuity in what we've taught previously. So we're teaching Japan. Then we have the era of colonization, the Aboriginal experiences of colonization. And we're actually probably finishing off with a statue debate, or looking at a local Aboriginal group. In stage 5, we have the making of the modern world, but then the big change for stage 5 is making a nation. So bringing that federation into World War I. We are keeping with the Holocaust. We have always taught the Holocaust, and we taught the Holocaust in a way that almost aligned with what the new syllabus outlines. And then we're going to do the modern world, followed by rights and freedoms. So if we had more time, if we taught it every year, maybe being able to dip our toes into a few more topics, but this is a really good staged overview for us.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for that, Kendra. Now, Kendra, you had a lot of detail in your presentation, so thanks for that. But is there a feature of the new resource that you're really excited to use with your students?
So I think the big thing is the fact that they're aligned to lessons. So again, for so many of us that are feeling a little bit of programming fatigue right now, as we're potentially programming geography, commerce, and history with the same group of teachers, I think having content that's fully aligned to the syllabus, but also aligns with the structure of a lesson means that I can focus more on creating really meaningful learning rather than trying to scour around looking for what am I going to include. And so the fact that there's so much rich content and it's presented in a way that, again, models best practice, so my learning intention, retrieval practices, it takes a little bit of pressure off me because I've got a great resource right at the tips of my fingers. And I can instead focus on building that deep learning. And so coupled with the online resources, so there's going to be lesson plans offered, that this just takes a lot of pressure off of myself as an academic leader, but also my staff who are trying to program multiple topics at the same time. So it really just lets me be a better teacher.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Kendra. Okay, Andrew, we've got a question in regarding our explicit writing focus.
Sure.
Andrew, can you please give an example of how you would use both the textbook content as well as the literacy worksheets you developed in the classroom?
Absolutely. That's a great question. It gets really to the heart of the way these activities have been designed. So you're not choosing between content and teaching writing. They're actually happening at the same time, and that's really important. It's the best way to teach writing is in subject-specific content. It's the same as the best way to teach grammar is while teaching subject-specific content, not in isolation. So these things really go hand in hand and work together. And when you have a really good, rich piece of text, which Cambridge provides, and the author teams, Matt and Kendra's authors team, have done an amazing job at the text and the activities. But when you have that really great piece of text, you can create all sorts of writing activities around it. So I do it at the same time. And I'd go through the textbook, obviously, doing the activities. There's writing activities in terms of comprehension, review questions, etc. And then you'll notice the icons on the side of each page telling you that there is a relevant writing activity, a writing focus to do, and which one it is. And I think that's really powerful when you're able to teach both these things at the same time. And what I would highlight is while the writing team has provided an example of a high impact writing activity for each in each subsection, the beauty of this of these writing progressions, and I always talk about it as a holistic package, is because you can then apply any of the other writing activities that you're learning to teach and your students are learning to complete to any of those pieces of text. So we've given you an example of one that's ready-made, it's there to use. But I know, as someone obviously very familiar with the progressions and the activities, I will apply a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth writing activity to that same piece of text. Because what that enables you to do is your students are going back over that text. So they're learning content while they're learning writing. And so every time there's a new activity, I'm still going back to the text. So there's something different going on, but I'm still learning that piece of content, that really rich, important, key elements of the content which the author team provide. I'm going back over that as a teacher, my students, and so that's reducing cognitive load as well. So it's the same piece of text, new writing activity. And students get really used to the writing activities. The thing with the progressions is the writing activities stay the same. There's, a dozen or so. But then what changes is the text, and you can differentiate that text for your own students. You can provide multiple, the same focus of text, but multiple different versions for students in your classroom, but actually use the same writing activity. So you might have 2 or 3 versions of the same text, but we're all doing the same writing activity off that text as well. So the text is what changes, the writing activity stays the same, and these things are done together.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much for explaining that, Andrew. Well, look, we're getting short on time, so I would like to take this opportunity to again thank Kendra, Andrew, and Matt for your presentations and for answering the questions. If we didn't get to all the questions, we will make sure that we respond when we do send out the slides and the recording. But thanks again for your time this afternoon. I'd now like to hand back to Caroline, who will give us details on the availability of the resources.
Yes, thank you everyone for today. That was really great. So just to finish up, this was mentioned earlier, but just for everyone who has not used Cambridge before, we obviously offer the print books as an option. So the print book will essentially have a code in the front cover, and students can activate that code to have access to the interactive textbook that we showed before. There is an option to also purchase this as a digital-only product. So should you not use print books in the school, you can implement this just as an online feature. The online teaching suite that was mentioned also, this is a complementary resource that we offer schools once you adopt the student resources into the school. So if you go ahead and start using these resources for your students, please let us know. We will also be in touch, and we'll get all the teachers set up complementary. So the next slide just lists what we have currently. So the titles will be available in term 3, the final published text, but we have a lot to show you in the meantime. So we have some draft programs, sample pages, sample worksheets. You can also jump online and have a little play with the platform as well. So yeah, we will be in touch and organise all that for you. And then the last slide, you will see the details of the sales team. So you can definitely reach out to any of us, but we will get back to you after today with some follow-up information and reach out to hopefully come and see you, and we can do a faculty demonstration for you and give you a bit more information on everything that was talked about today. So also just another reminder for those who do teach commerce, we do have another webinar next week on the 16th. Presented by Rosette Carr and Amber Ma. So please join that if commerce is also one of your subjects. So that is it for tonight, and I hope you all enjoyed today's webinar. So thank you for joining and have a great night. Thank you.